MU in the round of competing for ownership. On the evening of Friday, February 16, 2023, British media reported that billionaire Jim Ratcliffe had officially made an offer to buy Manchester United. On the same day, the president of the Islamic Bank of Qatar Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani also made an offer to the top Premier League club. A race for ownership of Man United between the financial big hands begins. But has a competition of Man United owners. Ratcliffe, 70, is one of Britain's richest men and the owner of petrochemical giant Ineos. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, his net worth is $13.6 billion. Ratcliffe revealed he was a Manchester United fan as a teenager, although Ratcliffe himself tried to buy Chelsea when the club went up for sale in 2022. Commercial bank Rain Group, which has been authorised by the Glazer family to sell Manchester United, has set a deadline of 10 p.m. UK time on Friday to formalise the parties' concerns in writing. Ratcliffe's indicative bid arrived shortly before the deadline but was only announced on Saturday. In November, the Glazers announced that they were looking at a new investment in the club, sale, or other transaction involving Man United, which could mean their 18-year reign at Old Trafford. Trafford will end. Through Ineos, a spokesman said, "We can confirm that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have submitted bids for majority ownership of Manchester United Football Club. We will consider our role as the long-term caretakers of the club on behalf of the fans and the community. We have the ambition to make Manchester United the #1 club in the world once again. We also recognize that the management of football in this country is at a crossroads. We want to contribute to the next chapter, delving into English football culture by making the club a beacon in a modern, progressive, fan-centered approach to ownership. We want Manchester to stick to its proud history with roots in the northwest of England. United will return to being Manchester United and have a clear focus on winning the Champions League." The Ineos statement said that Ratcliffe had submitted a bid to acquire majority ownership of the shares of Man United. What does that mean? This is a very interesting statement because Ratcliffe's rival, Sheikh Jassim, has confirmed the bid to buy 100% of the shares of Man United Football Club. However, Ratcliffe only targets the shares owned by the Glazer family, up to 69% of the club, which gives majority control and is key to the changes at Old Trafford. The Glazer family retained as many Class B shares as 10 times the voting rights of Class A shares traded on the New York Stock Exchange. As such, Ratcliffe does not have to buy 100% of the club's shares to control matters. In addition, sources close to Ratcliffe explained that Rain was marketing the club on behalf of the Glazer family and they had a positive response to the offer from the British billionaire. When he heard that Ratcliffe did not want to take 100% control of the club, United fans may have been concerned that this would mean he would do business with the Glazers. However, the bidding confirmed that Ratcliffe's tentative offer included a full acquisition of the Glazer shares and that the American owners were leaving. If this attempt succeeds, there may be further talks with investors as to whether they want to give up any stake, but if the club flourishes under new ownership, those investors may want to stay. Al Thani is taking a different approach with the ambition to buy the club outright, to become the sole owner and custodian of the club. Al Thani's side says they have enough money and are willing to do it, while Ratcliffe's side is content to gain control rather than monopolize the entire stake. How much does the Ratcliffe offer cost? Similar to the Qatar side, Ratcliffe has not yet announced the numbers related to the offer for Man United. Reports in France on Friday evening claimed the offer for the club from Qatar amounted to €4.5 billion. Ratcliffe representatives declined to value their offer, but said it was sufficient to compete fairly with rivals. Part of the reason why neither side has released detailed figures is that they do not yet have sufficient access to data on the club's financial information. These investors also do not want to expose their cards to the opponent, especially in the context that the Man United acquisition is likely to turn into an auction. In his statement, Sheikh Jassim intends to invest in teams, training centers, stadiums, and broader infrastructure, improving the experience of fans and the communities the club supports. On February 17, Ratcliffe's side admitted that Qatar investors could win if it was only a match to see who had the most money, but the British billionaire was trying to build the image of a rich local businessman. Money and enthusiasm, with the noble goal of bringing Manchester back to being Manchester United. Ratcliffe considers the improvement of the infrastructure at both Old Trafford and the club's training ground essential, along with the intention to invest more strongly in the Man United women's team. Ratcliffe will see his offer as an option important to English football as a whole. Manchester United must decide whether they want a new owner suspected of having benefited from private property or feel they have. It's time for English football to be managed in a different direction. The British government is expected to soon announce an independent English football governing body, and Ratcliffe has taken advantage of this factor. Man United's £656 million debt. And other question marks. From the leveraged acquisition of the club by the Glazer family in 2005 to the debt of credit, Manchester United's net debt now stands at £656 million. This huge number needs to be dealt with cleanly so that the club is no longer under financial pressure, although Man United is also owed more than £200 million in conversion fees. Qatar's offer has given the club hope to get out of debt. The tenders will be completely debt-free through Sheikh Jassim's 9-2 fund, they said. However, Ratcliffe's bid does not offer the same guarantee. It just shows for sure that Man United will not have any new debt. Any money borrowed to buy the club will be fully segregated and Ineos will be the debtor, not Manchester United. However, whether United's existing debt can be forgiven is still a question mark, and it is a difficult problem for Ratcliffe. Debt is considered an obsession at Old Trafford, what makes the image of the Glazer family increasingly tarnished. At this time, Ratcliffe has not specified whether United will have to repay any of the loans to buy the club, although it would be unusual for any other company other than Ineos to pay it. It is unusual for the acquisition of a multi-billion-dollar asset to happen without some associated debt. For example, even Elon Musk had to borrow money to buy Twitter, let alone buy football clubs. In Ratcliffe's case, the 70-year-old billionaire is keen to declare that the debts will be his concern, not the club's. He insists he does not want to siphon off Manchester United's money and is looking to achieve his personal ambition of running the team he has loved since he was a teenager. Everything revolved around the impression investors wanted to solve Man United's problems, one way or another. Important financial decisions often have to be made and implemented before the transition period begins in the summer. Bidders are under the impression that United's owners want to get this resolved, one way or another, before the start of the summer transition, at which point key financial decisions often have to be made. Implementation given. The next stage is to wait and see if any other public bidders show up and whether Rain and the Glazers appreciate the current offers or are still looking for new bidders with tough prices from them. More denial. The Glazer brothers, Joel and Avi, who are most attached to the club, held debates over the summer with U.S. private equity firm Apollo to see if they could raise the money for the stake of the remaining family members or not. As a result, bidders remain uncertain whether the minimum share offer is attractive enough for some Glazer members. As for Ratcliffe, his team emphasizes that he is more interested in securing majority control than aiming for any small stakes. There are many arguments about whether the Qataris need to prove their separation from the state or Paris Saint-Germain. But what about Ratcliffe and OGC Nice? This is a big question. Ratcliffe's Ineos also owns French club Nice, and that's a problem. UEFA regulations make things quite complicated because two clubs cannot compete in the same European club competition. For example, Qatar Sport Investments could not buy Manchester United and continue to take both PSG and Manchester United into the Champions League at the same time. Ratcliffe could face similar problems if he takes control of Manchester United, as he already owns Ligue 1 club Nice, which have qualified for the Europa League and Champions League for several years. last year and is currently playing in the Europa Conference League. To those who loved Ratcliffe, he was the son of a carpenter. He grew up in a house in the City Hall in Oldham, near Manchester. As for critics, Ratcliffe was knighted in 2018, but later left the country, moving to Monaco to avoid taxes. In a Sunday Times interview last week, Ratcliffe protested, "I didn't move there until I reached full retirement age, 67. I just want to live a little longer in a warmer climate." Another question: why was it just a year ago that Ratcliffe tried to buy Chelsea? Ratcliffe paid the price, but he also missed the deadline set by Rain. The company also ran the auction when Russian tycoon Roman Abramovich was sanctioned by the British government and excluded from English football. Ratcliffe's foray into sports has been since 2017 when he bought FC Lausanne Sport and teamed up with Olympic sailing champion Sir Ben Ainslie to compete in the America's Cup, which cost him more than £100 million. In 2019, he bought the world's most successful cycling team, Team Sky, and renamed it Team Ineos, before buying the Ligue 1 football club Nice. Ratcliffe also became the main partner of the F1 team Mercedes and began sponsoring the All Blacks Rugby Union. Now, he is pursuing his ultimate goal of Man United.